This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 478, Conscious Procrastination, Part 2, by Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Sunday, and welcome to the show, old friend. OLD stands for Optimal Living Daily, if you didn't know. And if you're new here, this is where I read to you every single day, including weekends and holidays, to help you optimize your life. And today's a continuation from yesterday. This post about procrastination is a bit long, so I broke it up into 2 episodes. So if you're new here, check out episode 477 first so that this makes a lot more sense. Otherwise, you'll probably be lost or think this is a very weird podcast. So with that, let's continue this post as we optimize your life. Conscious Procrastination, Part 2, by Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com. Email is one area where I consciously procrastinate each day. I could pat myself on the back for doing a great job responding to all my email, but the truth is that I'm lousy at replying to email. This is by choice, however. I always handle the truly important communication promptly, and I'll be the first to admit that some real gems come via email now and then, but I'm fairly brutal in how I define what's important enough to warrant a reply. I typically limit my email processing to about 15 minutes per day. That's totally unreasonable considering the volume of email I receive, but I'm willing to accept poor performance in that area in order to boost my performance elsewhere. By declining to reply to a lot of emails that seem like they deserve a reply, I'm able to devote more time to non-urgent tasks. For example, yesterday morning, I took my 2-year-old son out for a few hours of one-on-one time, and later that day, I went to an improv comedy workshop to improve my humor skills. Next week, I'll be performing in my first live show. I've also been spending time this week teaching my daughter to read. I'll never get around to it that tells me I must do these things right now, so I have to procrastinate on urgent, low-priority tasks, often to the point where I simply don't do them at all. The world won't spin off its axis if I don't reply to every piece of legitimate email, but there will be significant negative consequences if I blow off my kids, my personal growth, and my health to answer just one more email. So if you're one of the thousands of people who email me and didn't get a response, now you know why. I'm sorry to say you've been triaged. I like you. I care about your growth. I'd love to be able to support you one-on-one as you requested. Unfortunately, the price is just too high. My point isn't that you should blow off email, but that you should make a conscious choice about which activities are truly important to you and which aren't. This is easy to say, but very difficult to practice. I struggle with it every day. Staying conscious is indeed a challenge, especially when so much of our world is designed to drive us back into unconsciousness, where we're more easily programmed to buy stuff we don't need. I find the best way to use conscious procrastination is to extend my time perspective 5, 10, or 20 years ahead. In a matter of seconds, I can sense the long-term significance of any choice. It's clear to me that being great at replying to email can never justify the time cost. If I spend 2 hours a day on email, like many others in my situation would, that's 3,650 hours over the next 5 years, the equivalent of 91 40-hour work weeks. Now, I don't know about you, but I can think of quite a few things to do with 91 weeks that would produce more benefit than answering email. And if I project 10 years ahead, well, you get the idea. How many weeks of your life have you already thrown away doing low-priority tasks that, in the long run, just didn't matter? Where would you be now if you blew off the least important 50% of your email over the past 5 years? The least important 80%? 95%? Are you in need of a conscious reassessment of your true priorities? You see, when you don't use conscious procrastination, you end up with regular procrastination by default. And this means that you'll be making some huge judgment errors, putting far too much emphasis on urgent tasks that are staring you in the face, like unanswered emails or unread news groups, instead of investing in long-term, high-payoff tasks that seldom become urgent. This includes starting your own business, finding a fulfilling relationship, improving your diet, and educating yourself. When I think about the things I would have had to give up in order to answer 1,000 more emails over the past year, there's just no contest. And as my volume of email continues to increase, I still try to hold myself to about 15 minutes per day. So as traffic grows, I become increasingly selective. Ultimately, it comes down to asking questions like these. Would I rather answer this email or start my own blog? Can I blow off laundry for a day in order to talk to my wife about how to improve our relationship? Should I skip a party to go to a Toastmasters meeting? Procrastination can be a valuable servant if used consciously, but it's a harsh master when used unconsciously. Instead of letting procrastination run your life, take control of this beast and make it your servant instead of your master. It requires discipline to consciously delay seemingly urgent tasks, But if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that you simply don't have enough time to do what's important to you if you squander your time on low payoff tasks. As Jim Rohn says, quote, "The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons," unquote. You must learn to say no to those things that cannot and will not help you live the life you want. Will you invest your time in what really matters to you, or will your tombstone ultimately read like this, quote, "Here lies John, who passed away while answering his email one day. No friend, no child, no loving mate could keep poor John from working late. With each new mail, he worked like to click reply instead of Dell. A prompt response he'd always give, but somehow he forgot to live," unquote. Yes, I just made that up. Perhaps the improv classes are paying off. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled Conscious Procrastination by Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com. And procrastination is a very common struggle that I hear from listeners of this show, so hopefully that was helpful for you. And by the way, if you want to share any topic suggestions or struggles with me, that kind of thing, you can contact me at oldpodcast.com. And actually a faster way is to be part of our Facebook group. The shortcut link there is oldpodcast.com/Facebook. I'll keep this ending nice and short for you today. Thank you as usual for being here and listening. It's awesome that you're here. I'll see you in tomorrow's show where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.